Hey, everybody. Welcome to Leaders Lead. I'm Zach Husted. Super excited tonight. I got Colin Creech here with me, and he's got one heck of a story. He's done some things that I am absolutely petrified to do. I'm going a little off brand tonight. Colin is my sixth guest, and I got this super rad hat on. I'm going to let Colin tell you about it. And I got this amazing shirt on. It's one of the offshoots of the shirt that he's wearing. Colin, hey man, thanks for being here. Super excited to have you. Um, man, give us a little introduction to who you are and what you're about, and what is this gear that we're wearing?
No, and also thanks for having me too. I know we chatted just briefly before we started, but I think we're going to be talking a lot more after this podcast too. So I really appreciate your time. Yeah, long story short, from Dallas, Texas, and now I'm here. That was about the story. No, I'm just playing. There's a lot in between there. Yeah, born and raised in Dallas, enlisted in the Marines when I was 17. Was very fortunate to become a Force Recon Marine, and then I had a very short stint, I would say, in professional base jumping. And now I think I made the smart decision. I spend most of my time, mostly sitting, but working in human capital for a Fortune 50 company. But yeah, as you said, my passion and a lot of what I've been working on outside of work is around ADA, which we're wearing today, that I run as the CEO along with the founder, Mike Sorelli. And we really are a lifestyle brand, but I think there's a lot more with that because we're built around like this amazing community of everyday warriors. And really the intent of the brand, it's not add a boy or add a girl, it's the out of way. And it's really about trying to do something for yourself every day, like something, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, with your community and whatever that means to you. That doesn't have to be, a 1 hour CrossFit WOD. It could be just a little bit of a walk, or it could be meditation, could be reading, could be spending time in a religious activity that, is for you. So it's really about just, really trying to put out that positive energy and having people do things for themselves that, make them better in the longer term and make them better for us.
Yeah, well, first off, a couple things. I joined the
Yeah.
military when I was 17,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's ridiculous
Yeah.
because I actually haven't met someone else that has done that.
Well, I should clarify. I signed the contract when I was 17 at the beginning of my senior year. I didn't actually end up going to boot camp till about like 2 months after I turned 18. So you still got me beat there. So
Okay, well, I actually
yeah.
signed the contract,
Okay.
went to basic training, and graduated basic training before um before I turned 18.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
A
I'm
lot of
not trying to
growing
one
up.
up you. I was excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rad." And I'm not letting you off that easy about talking about a little bit of your
Yeah.
military career before we get into
Yeah.
this. First off, what is a recon marine? Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to people?
It's always a challenge because I think maybe we're sometimes like the lesser heard parts of the military in some ways.
Yeah.
When you talk about some of the other individuals from our brothers and sisters in the other branches, whether it's people, everybody's heard of an Army Ranger, a Navy SEAL, but we know with the Recon Marines, we have a really long history as well, and I think something that makes us really unique, and also some in some ways was potentially a very big career changer for us is when they created special operations in JSOC, the recon community didn't join that at that time. So for the long time, we were just basically the Marine Corps' special operations tool that was dedicated to them. And it wasn't until I think 2006 that they stood up MARSOC or the Marine Raiders that the Marine Corps became
Mhm.
a part of that. But the long and short of it is, recon, does reconnaissance. So whether that's, behind enemy lines, gathering intelligence, whether that's photos, videos, figuring out different routes, or whether that's potentially maybe it's direct action. But a lot of what we do is, enabling the other units to do their job better, whether that's by gathering intelligence or doing some of the direct action missions.
Man,
And I'm going to get
thanks for
beat up for the way I explain that. So
well,
yeah,
not by me. I
I
mean,
should
I'm
have
just an Air
Wikipedia'd
Force
it
guy.
before I started trying to explain myself.
No, you're not gonna
Yeah.
get beat up by me, and
Yeah.
if hey,
No, we're
people, go
good.
easy on him in the comments.
Come on.
I think that was a really cool explanation of it. So, hey,
Yeah.
before we go any further, I
Yeah.
just want to first and foremost thank you for your service to this great
Yeah.
nation. Um, humbled to have you here tonight, as a fellow veteran.
Yeah.
Um, the people of this great nation. we want to thank you for what you've done, what you've contributed to society, and it takes a special breed not only to go into the military, raise your hand at 17,
Yeah.
right, and to make that commitment. It's a selfless commitment, and to be able to do that and to serve your country the way you did, I just want to
Yeah.
say thanks for your service,
Yeah. And
and
thank
on
you
behalf
too.
of everyone that is listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. I
Yeah.
sincerely mean it, and that's part of the fun of this is meeting guys like you or gals, and getting to help lift them up and share their stories. So, okay, before we get into it further, I
Yeah.
have to know,
Yeah.
what is a professional base jumper?
Well, I say that because I had a small sponsorship at the time, so I was like, I'm a pro, I'm a professional. It was a clothing brand, it was a veteran clothing brand, and I got a few $100, I got a bunch of free shirts. I was in one of their smaller commercials, but I was like, yeah, I'm a pro. And base jumping is an acronym for building antenna span Earth. Span being like a bridge, Earth being like a cliff. And so you think about skydiving, but this is, jumping off of one of those objects with a parachute. So not out of a plane, but off of one of those objects. And I was really drawn to it probably because of the challenge of it. But it's if you look at the stats, it's not probably the safest sport. And also training and staying current is really important too. So when I had an accident, it was more or less my fault. Everything worked, the gear worked exactly as it should. User error is a real thing. So
Man, okay.
yeah,
So the level of radness of Colin just went
yeah,
from
yeah,
here to, I can't even put it in the charts, man, because
yeah.
that's, first off, I'm afraid of heights.
Oh, me too.
And
Or I was before the military. Deathly afraid. Yeah,
um that's unbelievable. So
yeah,
base jumper, marine recon,
yeah.
man, you got some radness in you.
It's stacked
And
up, and if only everybody could see me and you on our Zoom calls all day. What life has turned into. For our day jobs, but it
yeah,
it definitely makes things makes for awesome. It makes for an awesome life too. Like those are very unique and differentiating experiences that we both got.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really funny because you talk about the day job stuff, and the
yeah,
things that get you and I riled up are completely different than everyone
yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah.
They're like, "You got riled up about that?" And I'm like,
And probably the
and the
last
things
thing
that,
I'll say. Go ahead.
well, I'm just gonna say, and like
Yeah,
the things that everyone else gets riled up, we're like,
yeah.
"No, we got it."
Yeah. And I love that you said that because for me, sometimes the hardest part of my day, and I blame the Marine Corps. I don't Marine Corps, don't get mad, but like, is writing emails. I'm like to whom it may concern, do you end with respectfully? I'm not really sure. And then, the other things are don't get me riled up, but those I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many emails to reply to. And we didn't have very many creative writing classes in the military to set me up for this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's rad. We're gonna keep going into this
Yeah.
as we go through this series. I gotta ask you though, is
Yeah.
we talk about the military influence. You and
Yeah.
I have had it be such a huge part of our core DNA,
Yeah.
and such an influential part of who we are. And it's such an early part of our our leadership skills. How is that experience for you as a Marine influenced your style and your approach in the corporate world as you made that transition? I mean, that's starkly different.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, and you might have had a similar experience, but I think so much for me was the growth and maturity that had to take place at a rapid pace. I mean, especially the way the U.S. military does it is so well done. Especially for me, it's just how can we kind of erase a lot of bad habits and replace them with good ones, but also build you up as a team member, right? Not as an
Hmm.
individual. And I think, first and foremost, what I really learned in the Marine Corps, but also really transitioned into corporate was like the discipline that I learned in the military. I cannot say I was an extremely disciplined person before the military. So I think, I think we always hear the term like natural born leader and all these things. And I definitely had a lot of skills going in the military, but I can't say, discipline or cleaning my room or making my bed or all these things were some of them. But I think, along with the discipline, the attention to detail, but overall, I think one, it was like the growth and maturity that had to take place, and especially those initial 4 years I did on active duty and a deployment. And then I went in the reserves, did another 3 deployments. And each one I saw so much personal growth for myself. Um, I think another thing that was so important that influences my leadership style today is my was in the military the ability to see like good and bad leaders, because I think I take the things from the good leaders that I'm like that is awesome. I want to put that into my own style, and then I see the bad
Hmm.
things and it's like oh no, nope, don't want anything to do with that.
Right.
And those I think seeing both good and bad are so important too because at the same time, I had experiences too as a leader in the military, which were awesome because then I got some trial and error as well. I definitely had experiences where I did it completely the wrong way, and I got to learn from that, and I got to learn from
Yeah.
my mistakes, and no one got hurt, thankfully. But also, I had those experiences where I was like, man, I really did a great job. Not in a not an egotistical way, but like that
Yeah.
was way better than the last time, and I think
Yeah.
that really helps me in the corporate world because now I've got a lot of those trial and errors, and I've got a lot of experience of what works, what doesn't, and what my own personal style is, and that's been I think that's been really awesome. So if I summarizing, it's like the growth and maturity that took place at such a rapid pace early on with discipline, getting to observe those good and bad leadership styles, and then just being a leader, and doing it well, doing it really bad, and learning from those and growing from them.
Yeah. Uh, I think that's really awesome explanation of it. I'm I made a ton of mistakes, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like I know some of the guys that I was in the service with and the
Yeah.
gals was if they're watching this, they're gonna be like, yeah, dude,
Yeah. I've
like
definitely slid into some of my friends' DMs, or not friends, I might say, but people I maybe was a leader of. And I was like, hey, really sorry
sorry.
about, I was
Yeah.
thinking about it the other day. And I was like, I was not cool. So I hope you're doing well. And I apologize. Yeah.
But it's
Sincerely.
about humility and growth, right? I mean, you look
Yeah.
back and I mean, that's that's decades ago, like
Yeah.
almost for us. And to think about that, like we're a new era of leaders coming out of the military and hitting a different tier,
Yeah.
right? Of leadership and growth. And that's part of what motivates me to do this is to take these learnings and pass them on
Yeah.
and take guys like you and have and share the story of, hey, look, we did it, we learned, and look at us, look at what we're doing. I mean, look at your Ada brand
Yeah.
that you're a part of, and look at the success that you're having. You can do it.
Yeah.
And that's it's so the military isn't all about go pound your fist and kicking doors and all these
There's
things like you
probably
can.
only a little bit of that, right? Like in the grand scheme of
Yeah,
things, a lot of it's just
it's
working parties, probably. Yeah.
and it's a whole bunch
Yeah.
of hurry up and wait.
Yes. Yeah.
And but at the same time there's this camaraderie that comes out of it, and
Yeah.
you get the chance to learn from each other and
Mm.
make mistakes and gain these valuable lessons in life. um One thing that you mentioned earlier is there's a guy that you work with,
Yeah. Mike Sorelli.
and yeah, he's a pretty rad dude. um
One of the best.
yeah, he's pretty rad. He's got some of the best wisdom
Yeah.
that I think I that personally resonates with me. Like I carry his book,
Yeah.
um, and I mean I got it full of like little stick it notes and stuff. You know, the everyday warrior. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I think is rad about it is it's it's pretty practical. And what I think resonates with your story
Mm.
is um, the style and approach of how you hit things is really it's really about um, selfless leadership,
Mm.
right? And it's not about you; it's about them.
Yeah. And I had a really great leader. And actually, we were just talking on the phone today too. And I had to stop him because, he was like, yeah, I'm just so proud of the team. These things. I'm like, I know, like, you mean that, but I was like, but it's because you're the leader. And it's a hard. He's like, all right, I'm going to take the compliment, but I'm not going to. It's tough to take because I think the moment you make it about you, I think everybody knows too, right? They can feel it. Like, this person's just in it to get ahead in their career, or this person's selfish, or they don't really care. And I think it's hard to follow somebody that doesn't care about you to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Colin, I'm excited to dig
Yeah,
into question number two,
yeah,
get further into this, and peel back the layers of the proverbial onion with you.
yeah,
Hey, everybody. Thanks for digging in, listening, watching, being enthusiastic about what we got going on here with Colin, and hearing his rad story about his leadership wisdom that he's dropping here tonight. Stay tuned for question number two out of question number five on Leaders Lead. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Thanks, everybody.